Okay. Well, that was a good long
Yeah,
cold open.
it was. You ready to start?
I'm ready to start.
Okay. Hello, and welcome to Die on Any Hill, a show where we will find a hill, plant our flag, and die on it, regardless of whether there are any facts or truth. No, we're a truth podcast. I forgot that. I established that like episode 2.
Yeah.
We say nothing but the truth on these hills that we are dying on.
That's why we changed the name from
Yes.
unqualified, because now we're qualified to.
Correct.
It just didn't fit anymore. Yep.
So who wants to give their take first? Do you want to go first? Do I want to go first?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll go first. So I think that people should be able to accept grammar corrections, and they should be grateful about it. I think they should be happy that I went out of my way to fix their grammar, and I think they should thank me for it. Maybe even give me a little cash tip for telling them that their grammar sucks. Because it's in the end, it's helping them be a better developed person. And
Okay.
that's my take.
You know, you could just be an English teacher and get that.
I don't want to be an English teacher. English teachers are probably even less appreciated than the random person that corrects someone's grammar.
That's valid.
I'm not the kind of person that does like go out of my way. Like, I wouldn't say that my friends think that's like a stereotype of me, but it's only because I know that they'll get pissed at me. It's not because I don't notice. It's only because I know I'm just going to get yelled at if I try to correct the grammar.
Do you still judge people if they have poor grammar?
Oh yeah, internally.
Okay, good.
Internally, I'm judging them for sure. Yeah. It's not over like you and I were just talking about like texts. I don't texts are fine because it's supposed to be shorthand, quick, like easy communication. So that one doesn't bother me as much. But when like anything, if in speaking grammar, like if it's something that someone is saying incorrectly, and it's like, okay, I need you should maybe I shouldn't say that because I'm probably saying a bunch of things not grammatically correct in my speaking now, and people
and now you're very aware of it.
Now I'm suddenly super aware of how I'm talking. But,
you're gonna get super self-conscious.
Yeah. Emails or speaking or anything that's not like shorthand text, and they write something incorrectly, and I notice, I'm like, you should button that up a little bit, pal.
So my one question is, who's the Nazi now?
It's not me because I don't act on my feelings, unlike one of us.
I don't correct people either. I just judge them silently.
No, I mean you're Nazis in other ways.
Oh, okay. No, wait, no, I'm not.
Yeah, we were talking about your text. How you text even probably in a more grammatically correct way than I do. You're very official in your texts.
Yeah, I have a habit of I text with periods and I capitalize the first word of every sentence.
So do you go out of your way to capitalize?
No, it's just a habit.
I mean, like, do you hit the shift button when you're texting, or does your phone automatically do it for you?
When I start a text, it automatically does it. But if I like end a sentence and start a new one, but I also try to make one text a full sentence and use like a semicolon, even though I don't fully understand how a semicolon works.
I have never once used a semicolon in text. It's definitely the least pressed key on my
the semicolon. My least pressed keys are any emoji because I hate them.
Well, first of all, let's just put it out in the open. This guy's got an Android phone. He's got the green text bubbles. So half your emojis wouldn't even translate correctly, I bet.
Yes, they would actually. They fixed that, thank you. You know whose emojis don't translate? Apple's. Get wrecked. We've talked about this. The green text, blue text thing is meme marketing designed to sell iPhones.
Okay. Anyways, back to our conversation at hand.
Yes.
I'm going to try to pull up some examples.
Of my texts?
Yours are funny just because I read my texts as I intend them, like in an expressive way.
So do I.
And your texts are just, they ended just period. Like you're just but like that's the end of the
I can't
good
not
examples right off the bat, but
it will be like McKay will text me and just be like, "Hey, I'm ready to record whenever you are," with like an exclamation point, and I'll be like, "Okay."
Okay, I am ready.
Period. I am ready. Period.
Like, oh my god, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, how long has he been waiting on me? I can't believe I have inconvenienced him.
And usually it's like 5 minutes, or it's me. Usually I am scrambling to open my laptop and plug in my mic and all that.
Yeah. I'm not seeing any egregious examples in our current exchanges.
See?
What I'm looking for right now.
See, there's nothing wrong with it. It's not intimidating. People are just cowards.
I'm not, listen, I don't take offense to it. I'm just like, there is this whole other little subculture of, you know, you don't really know what people mean when they're texting. Like you don't know
It's
what their tone
true.
is. Yeah.
I take a little bit of joy out of it because I'm a very sarcastic person, if you couldn't tell by this podcast. And so people will take me seriously over text, and it's like, just no, you should know better.
Yeah, I don't take anything you say seriously over
Good.
text or in person.
Good, I'm glad.
Yeah. I will say I do love emojis. I am a emoji user.
I can't do it.
I don't think I send emojis to you because I just look like a buffoon closer to you because you don't use emojis ever.
My fiance will get on to me every once in a while because I don't use emojis. Like she'll send a little kissy face or a heart or something, and I'll just be like, "I love you." Period.
I don't think I send emojis in like to express sincere emotion like that. Like I don't think if I was in a relationship, I don't think I would send little kissy faces. But I think I love the emoji of the guy just lifting up one eyebrow, and I feel like that's such a good. That's just I don't know why some of the emojis are goofy and they're not good, but that emoji I feel like they just perfectly encapsulated
that one's fine. The one that really kind of annoys me is the laughing crying emoji, because
that one is cringy because it's been so overused.
And it's like when people say LOL. You aren't laughing out loud. You had a slight chuckle. Why are you lying to me?
You're definitely not laughing until you're crying right now.
No.
You probably didn't even smile when you sent that.
Meanwhile, I will type out haha.
Yeah, that's
which
fair. I feel like
might be worse, to be fair.
I mean, did you actually haha?
No.
You should just usually be typing out, that is funny.
That is funny.
That is funny, period.
I have laughed, period.
You did only say that if you have laughed, though. Don't actually say I've laughed.
Okay.
If you think something is funny but you didn't laugh, you just say that is funny.
And if you send me a text that's not funny, should I say that is not funny?
You should, yes. Yeah.
I'm gonna do that from here on out. Anytime you text me.
Do you find that people's grammar bothers you in general? Would you say that, like, you pick it out?
I would say it used to, but I've kind of just gotten resigned.
Yeah. I'm not like I don't want to come off like I'm some kind of super educated, haughty kind of guy. Because I don't.
McKay,
I don't.
You.
No,
listen.
No,
you,
hey,
you,
hey,
no,
hey,
you,
hey, no, you, hey,
you
wait for a second.
No, this is important. You are a hottie, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
I am an uneducated hottie.
Okay.
I am not an educated, haughty person.
Don't talk
But
bad about yourself, McKay.
I
You
I
are a
I'll accept
hottie.
that I accept that I'm an uneducated hottie. I'll take it. Um, it's just something, I don't know. That's just something that stood out to me is grammar. I don't know why. And then people just get mad when I try to be helpful. So I don't be helpful to people.
I do agree. You specifically should receive cash compensation when you
Yeah,
correct somebody's grammar.
it's how it helps them in the long run.
It
There
does.
have
It
been
makes them
yeah
a better person. There's
yeah
no more to
there
that sentence.
I rem- This isn't really a grammar thing. This is just like a cringe thing. But in high school, I remember I used to send the little, I don't know, it was probably middle school or early high school. I would used to send like the XD thing. And it was, and so I like really cringe thinking about that. But I would just send XD instead of like haha or whatever. And it's
Yep.
like it makes a little face. And then someone told me, they said it in a nice way. They're like, hey, I don't know if you know this, but people think it's kind of cringy using the XD. Just letting you know, huh? And then, and ever since then, I stopped using it, and I thought back to that, and I was like, okay, I'm a better person because this guy told me not to use it
Because you were
in a polite way.
bullied.
I wasn't. I didn't take it as bullying, and I don't think he meant it as bullying. And so I think other people should look at grammar talking like that, grammar corrections like that. I think I set a pretty good example on how people should take criticism,
Definitely.
and people should follow me.
You should just take it like a bitch. Do not defend yourself.
Yes.
Take your
exactly.
punishment like you deserve.
I should have responded to this guy by just doing XD like after every single thing I said. And yeah, I'm glad I didn't do that.
I mean,
And
yeah.
I should carry around like a little iPad with like the tip thing. I like
Yeah,
like hold
where
it
they can
up and
slide
turn
their
my
card.
head after I. Actually, it's wait, no. I was about to make a grammar correction, but I realized I was about to say it wrong. Actually, it shouldn't be me and you. It should be okay, I can't even correct it correctly.
You and I?
I don't know what I'm saying. You and I. That's what it should be. Yeah. Don't ever say me and them. Say you and I. And then I would hold up the iPad, turn away.
And turn your head.
Yeah. I'd be like, only if you feel like that was helpful. 15.
So, side tangent, but I have a habit when somebody like stares at me, like it doesn't really bother me if somebody's just like chilling there when I'm like putting in the tip on one of those things. But when somebody like just stares directly at the screen to see what I put, I always put the lowest amount because I'm like, screw you. Don't look at me.
The same.
Don't perceive me.
Who do they think they are?
Who do they think they are?
That's a pretty haughty thing to do.
So you do it?
I mean, a different kind of haughty.
There's only one.
But
kind
yeah,
of haughty.
I do it when I hold it out after correcting the grammar. I stare down at the screen. Like also when people would ask me how I'm doing, I'm like, oh, I'm doing good. And then there was this guy. He responded, oh, what good did you do today? And then.
Oh, what a dick!
I was like,
shut up.
And I was like, and the conversation just ended there. But
yeah, good. He doesn't deserve to be talked to.
But now I don't say that anymore. Which I do agree there's maybe a nicer way to say it, but I think before I say, oh yeah, I'm doing good.
Yeah, but like there's things like that. That is a turn of phrase that is like in our nomenclature. That it makes sense.
True.
We know what it means. We know the intention of it. I am fine with poor grammar if like you understand the intention of it.
So are you? I guess that maybe there's a really boomer take, but just like the constant de-evolution of our language. Is that is it just is it?
I don't
is it
think
evolving
it's a de-evolution. I think it's just changing.
I guess so. Were you one of those people that were mad when ain't got in the dictionary like 10 years ago?
Nah, I was proud. We did this. Ain't and y'all and y'all'd've and
It
I don't know what
does.
else.
I didn't care one way or the other, I guess, about
Mm,
it. But it does make me feel bad for all the people trying to learn our language, trying to learn the English language, and now it's
it-
just a complete mix of things that have no logical rules or rhyme to them
yeah,
because
but
things have devolved
like
so much.
my favorite example of that is I before E except after C and every other time.
Yeah, that's true. That one has never really worked.
It's never worked. And we were
Yeah.
taught that in school, and it never. There's so many words that are EI.
Hmm. I can't. Can you think of any off the top of your head right now?
Weird.
Is that EI?
Yes.
I feel like I have to spell that out.
You have to look at it now.
Yeah, you're right. But here's
There's
the
a lot
thing.
of examples of
That one works because
Uh-huh.
what is it called? An onomatopoeia when it looks like how it's spelled. Weird. It looks weird because they flipped around the E and the I. So they're like, let's do a little, let's do a
looks,
funny little
you know,
joke and flip the E and the I. So that's how people remember that it's weird.
most words look like how they are spelled, McKay.
You know what I mean? Sort of, I think.
So an onomatopoeia is a word that I'm going to be really condescending.
Looks like
and
how it
pretentious.
sounds.
Yes, thank you.
Looks how it sounds.
Your mother taught English. You should know this.
That was really condescending of you, and I
Thank
didn't
you.
appreciate how you. I'm not giving you a tip for that. That was rude.
That's fine. I'm just
And
doing
I'm-
my civic duty.
Yeah, I didn't appreciate it, by the way.
Um,
Just kidding. I accept it with grace, and
Oh yeah.
I think that you. Thank you for correcting me.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciated that. That's all I have to say on the matter.
Okay. I can't think of any other examples of grammar that. Okay, going back to the de-evolution thing, I don't think it's de-evolving. I think it's just evolving. It's changing. It's always going to do that. You know, the generation before us had things that the generation before them was like, oh, they're ruining the language. It's just
that's true.
de-evolving. It happens every time. It's like the whole when an older generation is like, oh, this next generation doesn't want to work. They're just so lazy. And
I think what bothers me is just that I look at this isn't even examples of real practical English language. This is just meme stuff. But when there's like this whole trend going on about how far memes have gone, or like meme culture is going, and it's just this kids talking about like, oh yeah, she's got a level 10 Giat and Kai Sanat Skibidi Toilet Riz, and then I understand what they're saying, and I'm like, I hate that I have any clue what any of this means right now. And
you should be proud. It means
this is our society falling apart.
It means you're not old yet.
I guess that's true. In that sense, I guess I'm still hip. I'm still with the culture.
As soon as you stop understanding the slang, you're old.
Any of the young people who just heard me say the sentence I just did are probably like, that didn't make any sense because you didn't use the words correctly. And he doesn't.
Level 10 Kiat Skibbity Riz.
Yeah. They're like, he doesn't actually understand anything we're saying. But yeah.
But there's always been slang in every generation and things that every generation has done that's the previous generations don't understand. It happens. Culture changes. It's going to keep changing, and it changes faster now because of technology. It's fine.
It's just a matter of, is it going in a good direction? It's like, I get, yes, it's changing, and then it's, is this good change? Is this bad change? Is it neutral change? Are we heading in a direction that is just, what's that movie where the guy goes in the future and then everyone's just dumber? Idiocracy.
Idiocracy.
Idiocracy, yeah. It's like, are we just heading in that direction where everyone's just dumber and dumber because
No.
that's okay? All right.
I think people have always been dumb and people have always been lazy. Going back to my previous point about like the kids these days are just so lazy. We have records going back to the Roman Empire of people saying that. Every generation has said that.
I feel like I disagree in that. Okay, maybe not the idea of slang being a bad thing, because what you're saying is right about slang in every generation. But I do think as far as the internet and social media and all that, we've already had this discussion, so we don't have to go deep into it. But the internet and social media, I think, is taking a lot away from people and culture, and it is going, I think, in at some level to the idiocracy route, just because the internet has taken away a lot of the values that I think are like practical for humans to have. Not just
like what?
Just the idea that you could have any information at any time is a good, I guess that, I don't know. That is a good practical thing, but is it building up in like people, is it let me try to articulate what I'm saying here.
No.
Just the ability to have any information you want at any time, is that actually helpful for people? Which, yes, it is on one hand, but on the other hand, I don't think that they have the I don't know what I'm trying to say here. They don't have the and not memory, but it's like there's just this assumption that I don't have to spend any time looking into one specific thing when I can just pull it up on my phone. I feel like people don't devote as much of their lives to their passions or what they care about because they can just get a little bit of everything on their phone at any time.
I can agree with that. Because something that does annoy me is when somebody has a question like about a fact, and it's like, Google it on your phone. If you want to learn how to do anything, and I mean anything, you can Google it, YouTube it, go on Reddit. There are a billion tutorials on how to do anything, and there's information everywhere. So when people don't take advantage of that, yes, it annoys me. But that goes back to people have always been lazy. They will continue to be lazy. We will have a small number of people who are hardworking for the betterment of humanity, and everybody else is just going to suck.
That I think, yeah, that's true. But also the thing is that the betterment, phones and social media is just adding to the laziness, I think, is what I'm saying. Is that people have always been lazy, but now our culture is naturally going in a way that's going to cater to it and grow that. And maybe, I guess time will tell if that's a real thing or not. But
yeah, I could be completely wrong, and we may be going downhill and be doomed. I'm along for the ride. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, at the end of the day, just have fun. Who cares?
Just have fun.
Just have fun. Just
live your life. Be your truest self. And if your truest self is a dipshit, then be a dipshit.
Yes, agreed. Live your truth.
Live your truth. I hate it. I hate that phrase so much.
Okay. I think it's time to move to yours.
Yes. So mine is, I don't have a story for this one. It's just that cruises are stupid and they suck. They're boring. There's nothing to do on them. You're stuck in a giant tin can with like 1,000 other people who are all fat and disgusting and whiny white people. And there's no culture. You just basically wander around a giant mall, and you go on there. You pay the like $1,000 for the tickets if it's like multiple people going on this cruise for your tickets, and then you still have to buy drinks. You still have to buy you get the free food. The food's not that great. It's mediocre. Like, it's not terrible, but it's not like amazing. And yeah, you can just gorge yourself, but I don't understand because there's nothing to do.
Okay.
Like,
All right. I do
I have been
think
on one cruise and I hated it. I was so bored the entire time. I was just trying to find some weed on this boat because, like, Jesus, I was so bored.
when did you go on this cruise?
This was a few years ago. This probably would have been, it was before COVID. So I
Yeah,
want to say
there
2019, I think.
I
Either
definitely
2018
don't
or 2019. Sorry.
I definitely think cruises are an old person thing.
Yeah.
Like if I and I could see myself loving a cruise like 20 years from now. So, but I kind of agree with your statement. Well, I don't know. It is I do think short ones could be fun because it's a more fun way to travel. Like I would rather do a cruise than um a plane like an airport. I guess it depends on how long I'm staying in that destination, but a cruise is a more fun way to go to it, a destination than an airport.
Why?
I think maybe I just hate airports, but everybody hates
I get
airports.
that. But with an airport, you're on your flight, and then you leave, and then you don't have to be in the airport anymore. Whereas with a cruise, you're stuck in the airport for however long the cruise is.
But there is stuff to do on the cruise. Maybe it's not all fun stuff. I guess you kind of have to pick ahead of time a cruise that will cater to your interests, but
And
I don't know.
they're just so
I
expensive too.
No, this is true.
Like,
This is true.
the
They are
predatory
insanely
prices
expensive.
bother me so much.
I-
Unless you
I-
are hammered, there is no fun to be had.
I mean, I feel like a drinking package is kind of a must on a cruise to make it worth your while.
Right.
But the one time I went, I would agree with your statement. But at the same time, it was COVID, and so everything. It was a
Wait, you were on a
terrible-
cruise
not-
during COVID?
It was literally the
Sir.
last ship. It was the I didn't. Okay, this was March. It was March of 2020. It was spring break, and my friend group like wanted to go on a cruise, and it was still the very early. Don't look at me like that. It was
Look at this
still the-
anti-vaxxer over here.
It was
Just
still
going
the
out
early
and having
days.
parties during COVID.
It was still the very early days of before like everything had shut down. COVID was really only a thing in China or whatever, and we're like, okay, this is gonna be like any other thing. That what was the Ebola was the last thing before COVID.
Yeah.
That they were like, oh my gosh, there's gonna be an Ebola pandemic, and then it turned out to be nothing. And so that's what we assumed that.
I mean, yeah.
This cruise would be, or not cruise, the pandemic would be like. And so we booked this, spring break one. And then everything shut down because of like the week of March 15th through the 20th or whatever. Everything shut down midway through the cruise. And then we started freaking out because we were like, oh my gosh, someone on the ship has COVID. Because that's the only reason they would shut everything down. Like they stopped having the buffet. They did have the buffets, but you couldn't get it yourself. They had people serving you. Before it was just you go up and take your food. They shut down pretty much every single activity, which meant that you could only be at the pool. So then every single person on the ship went to the pool area and just crowded around, which I think was probably worse. It was very counterproductive. But so yeah, I don't know that was a good standard example of a cruise for me. But yeah, they're really the only thing you could do is sit around the pool because of COVID. But at the end of the day, I'm glad I did it just to say I've been on a cruise, and I would rather do a cruise. No, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say I would rather do a cruise than the airport, but it's just I hate spending a whole day at the airport.
Yeah, sure.
And then running around and being late and just sitting around and doing nothing, and it's just a terrible environment. It's like I would much rather be on a cruise right now.
Yeah, but
even though I'd be spending 3 times as much money, but.
I don't mind airports. Yeah, they're annoying, but I'm also like, I can bring a book or my Switch and I'll be fine.
You could do that on a cruise.
Yeah, that's what I did. I did mostly read a book the entire time because I hated it. The only 2 good experiences I had on the cruise where there was one time I took a nap and I woke up and I felt the boat rocking and I was like, oh, this is awesome. I love this feeling. This is cool. And then
You have that all the time on a cruise.
You don't, though.
Just nonstop rocking.
No, it's not
I mean,
nonstop rocking.
I guess it depends. It depends on the weather, but.
And then
what was your other one?
I was sitting. I was just bored, and I was sitting in like the little mock pub they had, and there was a guy just playing music, and I requested "Sympathy for the Devil" by the Rolling Stones, and he was like, "Hell yeah, brother, rock on!" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah."
I feel like you would love a music cruise. They're like music themed cruises, right?
Maybe, probably.
Maybe, I don't know. There's got to be different. There's cruises that cater to certain niches. I think that would be helpful. But yeah, like you said, they're probably like twice as expensive as the most basic cruise, and even
I
the
can't
most basic
imagine
cruise is too expensive.
People going on like the Disney cruises.
Oh yeah, that's crazy. The amount of money you spend for I'm not a Disney fan, so it doesn't appeal to me naturally. But
I kind of hate Disney.
It's the amount of money you would spend on that is just insane. I feel an Alaska cruise, that would be fun. I feel like I would love to do that.
That's the one I did, and it was boring.
Oh, okay. So that's okay. So you're instantly debunking my theory that an Alaskan cruise would be fun. Was it cold?
Not really.
It was summertime.
Yeah. I mean, there were days where it was cold, but it really wasn't that cold. I'm a hot-natured person. It's never cold enough for me. Right now I'm in a hoodie, and I regret it because it's very warm in this room.
Our cruise went to Mexico. I don't remember which. Cozumel, Mexico, and the Keys.
Nice.
And I don't know. It was. I feel like it is I definitely would not do a cruise every year, but in general, it's a fun way to travel. Like every couple of years, I would choose a cruise over flying somewhere.
It also baffles me, but so the people who their vacation every year, there's two kinds of people where it's like their vacation every year is a cruise or their vacation every year is going to Disney. And I don't understand because there's so much out there to experience and explore, and you do the same thing every time.
This is true.
And I have friends who I know I've insulted because they listen to this, and that was their childhood, and I'm sorry, but I'm not.
I do think I agree with what you're saying in that I think the crowds would be a big thing for me, and that a cruise is just a ton of people confined to one little space, like, which I guess any sort of tourist destination is going to be like that, but a cruise is like there's literally nowhere else to go. Like there's not really any place you could go to get peace and quiet if you needed it, except your room.
Right.
So,
and like it's just
that aspect would bug me.
I would rather go and experience a culture and like get in there than be on a giant tin can.
Fair enough.
That's just full of shopping and mediocre comedy shows. And
it is, yeah. I mean, it is very much the emblematic of the big mass corporation, fake touristy stuff that you hate. So,
which don't get me wrong,
I definitely see where you're coming from.
I loved working in tourism because you can make a lot of money and it's great. And you only work like 5 months out of the year. But I hate going. I worked at an amusement park. This has been stated before. I hate going to amusement parks. And I think it's because I worked at one.
I love a good amusement park.
Yeah, but you're just sitting in line for like
the line. Okay, lines. Yeah, you 100% have to be strategic for it to be worth it. But if you like go at a weekday or something and you plan ahead, it's a lot of fun. So
yeah, but even like,
maybe I'm just a sucker for it. But.
I'm not a fan. Christina and I were talking about this. It's kind of a bottled experience. And that's one of the reasons I don't care for amusement park rides is, well, the point she made is it's like you go in there and you have this experience, but everything is exactly what was supposed to happen, and it's not unique or interesting.
Yeah, that's true. Like everybody, no one's coming out with their own crazy stories of what happened.
Yeah,
Everyone's like, "Oh yeah, that ride was cool. Oh yeah, this ride was fun."
and like I want
I
stories.
That's fair. That's a good point. Wouldn't
I
have thought
want
of
to
that.
be an old man who never runs out of stories.
I want to be an old man who told my kids about all the crazy roller coasters I went on, and the
But they're
one
all
time I
kind
hung
of
out
the
at the
same.
pool on the cruise.
And then when you fought against COVID by not getting vaccinated and
Exactly.
going on a cruise in the middle of COVID.
Okay, vaccines weren't even available at that point. It wasn't like I was because COVID had barely hit America. That was a crazy experience. Like just kind of shrugging off the idea of COVID, which everybody was doing. It wasn't just me.
For
Everyone was
sure.
shrugging it off, and then coming back, and like literally everything had shut down. And we didn't even have internet or Wi-Fi, or I mean, we could have had Wi-Fi, but we had to pay for it. So we didn't pay for Wi-Fi, and we didn't have data on the cruise, and so we didn't have any updates, any news updates. And we came back, and it's like our phones are all blowing up, and everything's shut down. It was kind of wild.
I mean,
But
I think, like you said, everybody, I know I did when COVID was first starting to come out. I'm like, oh, this is just another swine flu or Ebola. It's
yeah.
the
Oh my
it's
gosh, the swine flu. I forgot about that.
it's
Everyone's
the
going
virus of the
crazy over
week.
the swine flu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just so like I was very much so. I was like, I'm not gonna wear a mask. I want to just go out because I am a social person and I don't want to be locked in my house for a month.
Hmm.
And it was horrible. I hated it. I hated it so much. By like the end of week 1, I was like, guys, can we just listen? None of us have COVID. We've all been inside. Can we come to one of our houses and hang out? And they were like, no. And I was like, please, I'm dying.
Once I got back to college, it was I feel like COVID year was my most fun year because we all just hung out and we didn't like there was nothing else to do except hang out. I
But
guess
you
that was
also
like a year after.
you
Like
lived with people, right?
I lived with people, yeah, and so it was like
I
every night,
lived with my
every night
parents.
people would just okay. That would be that would be a little more rough. I did live with people, and so it was like every night everyone would come over to our place and we would just hang out because like on a regular night we would go out somewhere and then it would be fun, but it wouldn't. I don't know. We wouldn't hang out the same way. Like
Right.
there was nothing to do, so we'd all just hang out at our place, and we had a lot of fun times.
Yeah.
So in that,
I mean, like, I think if I would have been living with people, I would have been okay with it. Okay,
yeah,
I mean, I lived with people. I was with my parents, but I didn't want to hang out with my parents 24/7.
no, yeah, I wouldn't have. I was with my parents for a while. After we came back from the cruise,
Mhm,
I had the 14-week quarantine because that was
mhm.
the period of quarantine at the time, and I had never actually like been exposed to it, but we were just like, oh my gosh, you were at a cruise with a ton of people, and so you gotta. I lived upstairs
Yeah.
in the loft area of our house for 14 weeks. My parents would just leave food at the stairs, and I would come grab it, and I didn't have any contact with anyone. So
Jeez.
yeah,
Um,
and I didn't end up getting COVID for like years afterwards though. And
I know.
any of the COVID scares that I had, I never got COVID from. Every time I got COVID, it was like something. It just came out of the blue, and I have no idea where I was
Right.
exposed from it.
I
I
know.
don't. Yeah, I
Speaking
don't
of
know why this
COVID
conversation
and
started
like
COVID.
the vaccine, I got the vaccine pretty late because I procrastinated. Um, and like my thing with it was originally I had the mentality of I have a pretty damn good immune system. Like I don't get sick. I like at work, I have called last year. I called in once because I was sick, and my boss was like, "Okay, you're calling in. You get the day off because you don't fucking call in ever." And I'm like, "Yes, thank you. This is the one time I need it." But I ended up getting the vaccine because I was like, I'm probably not going to get sick from it. I'll probably be asymptomatic because it's me. Um, and but I ended up getting it because I was like, I don't want to get my grandmother sick. And then, cause she's
Hmm.
old, she was in her 80s.
Yeah. If you didn't get the
And
vaccine, you were killing people. That's what
right,
was what we were told.
exactly. Um, and then, so I got the vaccine And then later that year, when I got the vaccine, my grandmother died.
Mm,
And so I was like, well, this was pointless.
that's tough.
But at least it wasn't my fault.
There you go. There was someone else who didn't get the vaccine. So
No, she was just old. It was time.
Gotcha. Yeah, I got the vaccine because like my school provided it for free, and so we were like one of the early access people or whatever. And so I was like, who cares? I'll get it. And then
I think
you have like an effect from the vaccine? Like, were you feeling bad that night?
No.
I felt like absolutely terrible. Like, it did feel like the flu when I got it. And then I was fine overnight, but yeah.
When I say I don't get sick, and like, I have said that a virus, like if there's a sickness going around somewhere, it will get to me and then it will stop. Like, I've had that multiple times at like camps or something where a sickness is going around, whether it's like a cough or like a fever or something like that. It will get to me. I will get just a little ill, and then it ends, and my body kills it.
Maybe we should start just kind of sending sick people your way. Maybe
Go
we
for
could
it.
we could end Ebola, the West Nile virus.
Give
all
me
that stuff.
AIDS, and AIDS will be over.
There you go. I wasn't gonna say it, but we should give you AIDS. Let's hurry up and give this man AIDS already. What are we waiting?
Come on. Just give me AIDS, guys. I want AIDS.
All right, back to our cruise topic real quick. There was like one headline I saw recently that this guy was they've gone to the point where they're making like residential cruises a bigger thing, where like people will just live on a cruise. And this guy was doing it because it was cheaper to live on a cruise than to live. It was like his rent plus the expensive groceries plus like the gym costs. Everything was included in the cruise, and it ended up being cheaper than his regular rent and groceries and like everyday bills, because you don't have any utilities. The food's all included, the gym's included, and he was like, okay, it's cheaper for me to live and just travel for a year here.
What the hell?
Would you ever do that?
Fuck no.
I feel like I would do that, and I don't think I would do it indefinitely. But if I could sign like a year lease, and I know like for a fact that I'm traveling, like I wouldn't just stay out on the water, but I know that I'm gonna be able to spend like a couple days all over the world, at places all over the world. I would do that easily.
Yeah, but it's the touristy places. You aren't experiencing the world. You're experiencing tourism.
I mean, I'm experiencing more of the world than I would if I was living paycheck to paycheck in corporate America.
Yeah.
So it's like I might as well be saving money to see maybe not the fullest experience of the world, but I'm still seeing more of the world than, barely getting by here in my one town. I think looking at it from that perspective, I would easily do that. I mean, like currently where I'm at right now, it's not cheaper to do that, but I guess when he was talking about his expenses, he was probably living in, I don't know, New York or something.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't have a huge aversion to cruises, but I agree with a lot of the points you made.
Thank you. They're horrible. Yeah. Well, I think that about does it for this episode. Thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please hit that subscribe button, download, recommend it to friends, do things so more people start listening to it, so I can make it go viral, so we can both quit our jobs, because that's definitely going to happen.
And so then I can go live on a cruise.
Yes, so McKay can go. Here's what we should do. For a year, we should get on one of these cruises and just do this podcast from the cruise. Every day. We just do hot takes about things that we hate on the cruise. Yes.
Yep. Were you not jealous of like the Sweet Life of Zach and Cody?
No.
Were you not like, this is the life?
No. Okay. That was a sitcom.
No, not the Sweet Life. Sweet Life on Deck. That's the one I'm talking about, where they're on the cruise.
No, I was not at all.
Okay, all right, whatever. Maybe you and I just.
I want to actually travel. I don't want to be on a boat.
You were
Of the
saying that as a
things.
kid. You were saying that as a 10-year-old watching This Week Life.
Yes, I was.
Okay.
I've always been this way. Like I've always wanted to wander. And like being one of my favorite things about the cruise was the fact that like the crew would get real mad when you called it a boat because it was a ship, not a boat. And so me and my dad just kept calling it a boat.
And what, like, when did you? Oh, okay. Never mind. When did you call it a boat? Like, what circumstance? You would walk up to like the waiter or something and be like,
Well, no, it was more
"How
like
can I get
the
some food on this
captain and
boat?"
that kind of stuff because the captain would come out and talk to people for some reason. That was like half his job apparently. Anyways, we're going long. This
Yeah,
episode's
wrong line.
over.